Welcome to Lesson 12 of the Wycliffe Australia Story of the Bible online comprehensive course. Today, you will move ahead to draw the storyboard for the resurrection story, ascension story. However, before we do that, there is another topic we need to discuss, that is theme. The theme of a story tells you where the story is going, how it will begin, and how it will be finished. Theme. A story follows the theme from beginning to end. Imagine a 100-meter long clothesline held up by a series of posts every 5 to 10 meters. The first post is the opening sentence of a story. They tell you what the story is about. This last post is the close of the story. All the other posts in between are thematic statements or events. When we look closely at the resurrection ascension story from Luke 24 and Acts 1, it soon becomes evident that these verses answer three important questions. Firstly, how did Jesus prove that he was really, truly alive? Secondly, what did Jesus do between his resurrection and ascension? And finally, what was involved in Jesus' ascension? Editing. Once we have identified the theme of a story, we are much better prepared to identify the unnecessary information that we will omit from the story and what must be included in the story. For example, when we have clarified the theme of the resurrection ascension story, it becomes clear that what Jesus' disciples did after he ascended is irrelevant. It is not part of the story. For that reason, identifying theme comes before drawing the storyboard, and that is what you will do in homework assignment part A. First, you will identify the theme. Then, in the light of the theme, you will decide what to omit from the storyboard. If an event does not contribute to the theme, then you can omit it from the storyboard. In this lesson, we have three sections. Section A. In homework assignment A, you will analyze the Bible passages for the theme in the resurrection and ascension stories. Then you will go ahead and draw your storyboard. Text box section B in homework assignment B, we look at chapter 6 of Making Disciples of Oral Learners. The topic in this chapter is, what do you do when literate people stop reading? This is a problem in many countries. For example, 58% of the United States adult population never read another book after high school. In Denmark, a third of the adults rarely read anything, and more than half of the adults in the Netherlands hardly ever read a book. The same is true in most Western countries. How does this affect the health of the church in these countries? That is the topic of chapter 6 of Making Disciples of Oral Learners. In homework assignment B, there is a multiple choice questionnaire based on this chapter. Section C in homework assignment C, you will reflect on the testimony of a Queensland Bible storyteller who discusses how Bible storytelling is a useful tool in church planting. That reading is your resources file. I'm sure you will enjoy lesson 12, but stay online for 2 more video segments. Until next time, God bless.
We are all prone to redundancy. We sometimes think that if we say something twice, people will remember it better. The truth is that a Bible story with lots of redundancy is less memorable than a story which only says everything once. It's the actions that make a story memorable. So when we craft a story, the fewer words we use to connect one action to the next, the better. In a Bible story, brevity is a high value. Our mantra is, just tell me what happened. Don't tell me why it happened. Many Bible passages include some level of redundancy. So when we read a Bible passage, preparing to craft a Bible story, we are on the lookout for redundancy. For example, in the paralytic story, Mark writes, So many gathered that there was no room left, not even outside the door. Do you recognize the redundancy in that sentence? In the resurrection guard story, Matthew describes the angel. He writes, his appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. Do you recognize the redundancy in that sentence? In your resources file, you will find a sheet to help you learn how to reduce redundancy.
Well, hello, my name's David. One thing that you'll be challenged about within storytelling and with your own evangelism walk is who are you telling stories to, and how are you going to put that into the marketplace? I decided that I'd take stories and put them into my workplace, and so on a Monday morning I would tell Bible stories at my morning tea. I was a foreman at a work site, and so I had a lot of different trades coming through, so I made it a point to be hospitable, to put on a cup of tea, cake, biscuits, whatever I could find at the shop, and make sure people could always have a feed with me. And yeah, Monday mornings, it was storytelling time, and you'd see the blokes, that were familiar be elbowing the other blokes who weren't familiar with, that you just put up with Davo. He just tells stories, and, he might ask a question, he might not. It's not a long time, if you're getting your stories down to 2.5 minutes, it's not forever painful. But you've just got to let God be God and see what he'll do with it. I'd been doing this for a while, and I don't know the time frame, but I broke a rib playing basketball, and I'm not a very good player. I get to work on Monday morning and I couldn't get into the loader. And so I've said to one of our longest serving guys, I said, you'll have to run the loader today because I can't get in. I think I broke a rib. And he said, so when are you getting a wife, Davo? And I said, what does that have to do with my broken rib? He said, you told us about some story that God donged his bloke in the head and took his rib out and then he got a wife out of it. And you just got to smile and go, thanks, Lord. And but it was, months later on a late Friday night, he rang me and I knew that there was a problem. And I said, what do you need? Money, a car, what is it? And he said, no, would you pray for my little girl? She's sick. And, you just don't know what you're doing with blokes as you share God's word with them. So be real, step out in faith and see what God's going to do.